So we've got a week of spiritual inquiries under our belt, and I'm really excited about that. I hope that you're finding that process to be valuable and insightful, because like I said, it all begins there. Really, at the end of the day, with this practice, if we ask ourselves just those simple spiritual questions, that spiritual check-in, that check-in with the soul, at least the way that I'm coming to understand this, and this has been shared in traditions, and spiritual teachers and masters have been teaching us this for a very long time, but I'm starting to see it more and more in my own practice with myself and in the intuitive guidance that I have the opportunity to provide others, is that when we address spiritually what is going on at that fundamental level of consciousness, when we're working with kind of our soul expressions and our soul lessons, when we get down to that level, when we address those things, it does sort of, it's like the little adjustment in the programming that has this cascading effect. It can really impact the rest of our entire lives. So I started with the spiritual section because for me, in my understanding, that is the foundation. That's the base that we want to work with, because sometimes we address spiritual expressions and spiritual lessons and we express it and we experience at that level, or we kind of make tweaks at that level. Well, then the other stuff we're going to look into, like today, we're going to look into health. Then we're going to look into work and relationships. A lot of times when we address that stuff at the soul level, well, the work stuff clicks into place. The health stuff might even click into place. And relationship stuff may become a little bit more clear. Not always, and it's not always the case. Sometimes there's, of course, work to be done, and that's why we're going to look at these areas of our lives. But by and large, making that little tweak, and we'll call it in the soul programming, at the spiritual level, at the soul level, really does have a cascading effect on the rest of our experience, because consciousness is the fundamental nature of reality, and the material experience is something that sort of springs forth and arises from creative consciousness. So we're going to talk about health today. So we're going to go from one polarity to the other. We're going to go from the soul and the spiritual level of inquiring to the body. And I wanted to do this because, to me, our soul and our body are what make this experience exactly what it is. So again, this is kind of the next level to me of the foundation. And then when we get into work and relationships, we're starting to extend ourselves a little bit into sort of our physical expression, how we show up in the world, and how we have a relationship with others. So that's why I'm building in this way. So today we're going to look at health, and I've written down some questions. And so this week you're going to focus really just on like your physical health and your physical expression in your physical body. And you're going to ask some questions in your meditation practice to get some guidance and information and some insights into what's going on with you health-wise, or what's going on with you physically, or perhaps what would like to be going on, like what would the body like to express or experience. We're going to dive into that with these questions. So just like last week, pick your practice. If you want to do the journey to meet your guide, and open up a dialogue with your guide. If you want to do the higher self check-in, kind of take yourself to that place, tune into those chakras. And you can also ask working through each chakra, you can ask each intuitive sense to reveal something to you as well. So I kind of want to throw that in there. I didn't talk about that in the last section, but we kind of set this up to, ask for, what do I need to see? What do I need to hear? What do I need to know? What do I need to feel? Kind of action or non-action wants to be taken. So asking questions like that, we can ask that in relationship to really anything. Just always ask in relationship to anything within the context of our highest good, and we're on track with keeping aligned with our soul's expression. So go through a couple questions with you, get into meditation, do the higher self meditation, or do the journey to meet your guides, and then you can open a dialogue that might look like this. What does my body want me to know today for my highest good? So work with your intuition, work with guidance, work with your higher self, with loving awareness, and ask, well, what does my body want me to know for my highest good? And listen with all those senses, not just the sacral and the root chakra, which I talked a lot about how I feel like those chakras are so closely linked to our physical experience and the sustainability, the health and wellness of our body. But listen to everything, because you might get your intuitive information through an image in your mind or a daydream, or you might hear words that say, go for a swim, take a run, or relax in nature. You might get a little intuitive hit like that. So be open to all the senses. And at this point, you should have a decent idea of which ones speak to you most often. For example, pretty much almost anything that comes in for me comes in with a word or or some words and some hearing. So if I see something, if I deeply know something, if I have feelings, there's almost always a little bit of a word or two or a phrase that comes with it. It's very interesting. But I just kind of know that about myself. So it'll be interesting to see for you, what comes in like most readily and most often. So just tune into that, be open, and listen. And this could, this will expand over time. Another question you could ask is, what physical activity serves my highest good? So, that question, what does my body want me to know for my highest good? That's a very broad question. That's kind of like the what do I need to know for today for my highest spiritual good? But in a physical sense. What physical activity serves my highest good? So now we're looking at activity, maybe even non-activity. We might get guidance to rest, to cold plunge, to take a gentle walk somewhere, to lay down, to meditate. But that's technically activity. But then the physical activity might also be like, go for a hike, go for a swim, lift some weights, do quads and legs today, do back, whatever it is. There might be some activity that comes in. But this activity also might be something that just would make the body feel good. Maybe go dancing, It might be more than just physical, like a physical exercise thing. It could be just something that the body kind of wants to do, that it enjoys. Go run around and play freeze tag with the kids or whatever. I guess technically that's exercise. But hopefully you kind of get what I'm saying. There just might be an activity that the body wants to express. So we can ask, within the context of your highest good, what physical activity serves my highest good? We can also ask, what nourishment does my body need for its highest good? So this is a question about intake and receiving, and what kind of energy what kind of energy intake does the body want? And this could be food, it could be beverages. It's interesting because nourishment, I guess, could technically be interpreted as also like if I needed to laugh, and that would be good for my body. I might get that. Go laugh. Try laughter. Watch comedy, because we all know how much I love comedy. If you went through the Awakening Soul Force course, I talk quite a bit about how much I love comedy. What nourishment does my body need for its highest good? So again, asking in the context of the highest good, we're just looking for nourishment, and how can we care for this physical body, for its physical wellness? What information wants to come in around that? Is there anything I need to know today about the health of my body for my highest good? This very specifically, we're asking about the health and well-being of the body. This would be, because that's a different question. What do I need to know for my highest good? Like about my body, it's about the health. So we're kind of getting into the physical stuff. Again, pay attention to all the senses and what comes in. And on the flip side of this one, is there anything I am not seeing clearly about my physical health that I need to know today for my highest good? And this is where we kind of get into just like that spiritual question about what's in my blind spot. What am I not seeing clearly? Well, this is an opportunity for us to get a little real with ourselves, to check in. Are we under any illusions about what is going on? And it's great to do an intuitive check-in and see what comes in. So listen with all of your senses and check what comes in. The other thing I will say as we move through these things, these questions, I'm going to reiterate that remember that this is information. That what we're doing, we're checking in here, we're looking for a connection to a higher dimension of ourselves, to check in from a very peaceful, tranquil, and sort of regulated state, to allow some intuitive answers to arise. But remember that this is information. This is information that we want to sort of pair and consider with all the other information available to us. Because one of the interesting points I would like to make about working with our intuition is the only trap, in a way, of working with our intuitive self is we have to be kind of on that path of constantly, I would say, kind of like clearing those chakras, clearing our energy field, having a clear mind and removing as much as we can. I'm not saying I'm not even sure if it's possible to completely release all of our conditioning and our preconceived ideas and notions. I feel like that's kind of part of the journey, is moving closer and closer towards having a pure, direct perception of the present moment. In the grand scheme, it's like, I think that's kind of one of the things that is a powerful aspect of the divine experience. Can we experience something purely in the moment, like without any preconceived ideas, without any conditioning, without any baggage, and really directly perceive it, experience it, relate to it, and respond sort of creatively and spontaneously to the moment? I feel like that's some of the work that we're doing. So I just want to say that why I mentioned, remember, this is information, and we want to check this information with all the other information we have available to us as best we can, is because if we're not doing the deconditioning work, if we're not in the process of unlearning and removing our judgments and our prejudices and the conditioning that has us judging or critiquing ourselves and others, guilting and shaming ourselves and others, if we have ingrained or patterned sort of responses that might not be connected to the truth as it is, those can cause distortions even in our intuitive perception. So there's an important dimension of this, and why I always encourage people to pursue this path for their own sake and for their own spiritual development, is precisely for that reason, is because it's a work, it's a lifelong work to ensure we're sort of breaking out of our conditioned mind. So there could be some things that come in. They might be some fears or insecurities that like creep into a practice like this, and we want to be savvy enough to be aware of when we might be running into that. And so that there's an opportunity to push through maybe some of our own our stuff in these sessions. But again, that's going to require discernment and practice and exploration and experimentation. So at the end of the day, I just want you to have that in your awareness, so that as you move forward, again, calibrate. This is a learn by doing process, learning how to work with our intuition. It's like learning a new language, and we're just starting. So be kind to yourself, be patient with yourself, be open, listen to, take action on, and consider those pieces that they feel resonant, and that stuff that comes in, you're like, yeah, okay, yeah, I can work with that. And if there's other stuff that you're not sure about, it's okay. You can kind of shelve it for a moment and then see how things play out. That's one of the ways in which we calibrate. So there's your questions for health. So this week, go off into your meditation practice. You can ask questions. What does my body want me to know today for my highest good? What physical activity serves my highest good? What nourishment does my body need for its highest good? Is there anything I need to know today about my physical health, the physical health of my body, for my higher good? And is there anything I am not seeing clearly about my physical health that I need to know for my highest good? Work with those questions. Try it every day if you can. If you can't, try to get at least 2 to 3 days in this week, and share your reflections. Ask me questions. I'm here to support you, and so is the community. And I look forward to checking in with you next week. Adios.